It started on a Monday morning, cold, windy, and forgettable, until he stepped outside and saw it. The silver SUV, parked perfectly, confidently, and unapologetically in his assigned space. Space 27. The one he paid for, the one he depended on, the one that was supposed to be untouchable. And just like that, the week stopped being ordinary. He froze, staring at the vehicle as if it were a trespasser inside his home. The number painted on the pavement wasn't wrong. He checked once, twice, 3 times. He even crouched down as if closer inspection might reveal some hidden trick. But no, the truth stood firm and bold. Someone had taken what wasn't theirs and didn't even bother pretending otherwise. He didn't explode with anger. Instead, a slow, heavy irritation settled into his chest. He relocated to the visitor lot, trudged back to his apartment, and told himself it wouldn't happen again. But it did. The next morning, the SUV sat there again, sparkling with the smug arrogance of something that knew it wasn't supposed to be where it was but simply didn't care. This time, he waited by the window. He wanted to see who the brave soul was, and soon enough she emerged. Blonde hair, sunglasses too large for her face, a stiff walk powered by the kind of entitlement rarely taught, only inherited. Residents whispered about her long before this moment. Unit 1A. Hoa favorite. Professional complainer. Her name was Linda, but everyone else called her the same thing. Karen, he watched her from behind the curtain as she marched toward the SUV, clicked the unlock button, and pulled out with a confidence unmatched by the laws of common decency. She didn't even glance at the number on the space. She simply slid into the driver's seat and drove away, leaving behind nothing but tire marks and the cold sting of disrespect. The 3rd day confirmed it wasn't an accident. The 4th day made it a routine. The 5th day made it personal. He knew the HOA wouldn't help. They never did. Complaints vanished mysteriously. Fines appeared only for people the board didn't like. And Karen, well, she was practically HOA royalty. No one dared confront her. No one challenged her. No one tried to stop her. Except him. Quietly, he began documenting everything. Photos, timestamps, videos from his window, even the empty visitor spots she ignored every single time. He collected evidence the way a storm gathers clouds. Silently, relentlessly, and with a purpose. At first, he planned to submit the proof to the HOA. But night after night, as he reviewed his growing folder of clips, another idea started taking shape. A better idea. A louder idea. An idea with teeth. The internet loved people like her. The internet loved justice even more. He spent an entire evening compiling a perfect timeline. Karen arriving, Karen parking, Karen blocking his space while the visitor lot sat empty. Karen adjusting her sunglasses like a villain preparing for a dramatic entrance. He cut nothing. He exaggerated nothing. He let the truth speak for itself. At exactly 12:47 a.m., with the condo silent except for the hum of the refrigerator, he opened an anonymous account he had never used before. He uploaded the compilation to one of the biggest online justice forums, wrote a short factual caption. Karen keeps stealing my assigned parking spot. Here's 3 weeks of proof. And hit post. The screen flashed, the upload completed, and then instant chaos. Upvotes began rising. Comments flooded in. People demanded updates. Others analyzed every detail of Karen's behavior, calling her every name in the book. He leaned back in his chair as notifications multiplied faster than he could read them. The story wasn't just gaining attention, it was exploding. Strangers from all over the internet united in collective outrage. They wanted revenge. They wanted escalation. They wanted justice served. RW.by morning. The video had gone viral. By noon. People were already screen recording it and reposting it across platforms he didn't even use. And by evening, a chilling, exhilarating realization hit him. Karen wasn't just annoying anymore. She was becoming famous, and she didn't even know it yet, but she would very soon. By sunrise the next day, the condo complex had unknowingly become the epicenter of a digital storm. While residents carried on with their routines, sipping coffee, jogging, packing lunches, the man in Unit 3B watched the numbers on his phone climb relentlessly. What had started as a small post meant only for a niche forum had detonated into a viral wildfire sweeping across platforms faster than anyone could track. The comments were merciless. The analyses were brutal. The internet had chosen its villain, and it was very clearly Karen from Unit 1. Still, inside Ridgewood condominiums, life appeared deceptively calm. The cold air carried no hint of the chaos brewing online. Birds chirped. Cars pulled out of driveways. Neighbors nodded politely without realizing their parking lot was now famous. But the calm shattered the moment he stepped outside. There it was again, the silver SUV, parked in his space, day 22. But this time, something was different. He didn't feel frustration. He didn't feel helpless. He didn't feel small beneath her entitlement. He felt power. For the first time since the ordeal began, he stood over the stolen parking spot with the upper hand. He pulled out his phone, snapped another photo, not out of necessity but out of habit, and walked back inside with the quiet certainty of someone holding a secret the world was watching. Inside Unit 1, however, the first cracks in Karen's perfect world had begun to form. She didn't know about the video yet, but the atmosphere felt off. People stared a little too long. Parents whispered while ushering their children away from her door. Even the mailman seemed to hesitate as he handed her packages. The condo community didn't know the full truth, but they sensed something, and gossip spreads fastest when its source is unknown. By evening, the online audience had grown restless. They wanted a climax. They wanted confrontation. They wanted more receipts. So he decided to give them exactly what they craved. That night, he set up his camera near the window, framing the perfect angle of Space 27. Then he waited at 9:16 p.m. Headlights appeared. The SUV rolled in smoothly. Confidently, Karen stepped out wearing her usual oversized sunglasses despite the darkness, as if shielding her face from a sun that wasn't there. She glanced around, oblivious to the thousands already watching her every move through a screen she didn't even know existed. She parked. She straightened her coat. She strutted toward her front door with the same self-appointed authority she always carried, and he captured every second of it. The footage was crystal clear. Night mode illuminated her figure perfectly. The angle showcased the empty visitor spots glowing beneath the streetlights like unclaimed proof of her entitlement. It was the cleanest, most damning clip yet. He merged it with the timeline and uploaded it as part 2. It hit the internet like a hammer. By morning, the post had surpassed the original by tens of thousands of views. Commentators dubbed her Parking Lot Karen, SUV Queen, and Space Stealer Supreme. People spoofed the clips, added dramatic music, recreated the parking sequence with animations, turning her into a meme overnight. Her name wasn't on the video. Her face was partially hidden by sunglasses. Her license plate blurred automatically by the site. But fame doesn't require clarity. Only outrage, and the internet was overflowing with it. By noon, even the residents of Ridgewood began putting pieces together. A few recognized the SUV. Others recognized her stance. And as the story spread, whispers grew into full conversations, exchanged in laundry rooms, stairwells, and hallway corners. But Karen remained unaware until fate intervened. Late that afternoon, a teenager from the complex knocked on her door. He had been scrolling on his phone all day, laughing at the viral video, not realizing the woman at the center of the controversy lived just a few doors down. When she opened the door, he froze, eyes wide, mouth hanging open in silent realization. Then, without a word, he turned and sprinted down the hallway in pure, panicked excitement, phone still clutched in his hand. Karen stood confused for only a moment before her instincts sharpened. She snapped up her own phone, suspicion brewing. And in seconds, the truth hit her like a punch. Her SUV, her coat, her sunglasses, her walk, her stolen parking spot. Millions had watched it. Millions had judged her. Millions had named her the villain. Her hands trembled as she scrolled through the comments. A flush of shock drained into outrage. She stormed to the window, looked down at the parking lot, and saw her SUV sitting once again in Space 27. Entirely, undeniably exposed. Somewhere upstairs, Unit 3B watched her pace, watching her world collapse beneath the weight of viral justice. But he knew this was only the beginning. Because the moment she realized she had been made famous against her will, Karen declared war. Karen didn't sleep that night. The lights in Unit 1 burned until sunrise, shadows pacing back and forth behind the blinds as she spiraled between fury, humiliation, and a determination to restore her shredded pride. Outside, the parking lot lay frozen in silence, except for the glaring presence of her silver SUV still parked defiantly in space 27. Like an emblem of everything she refused to admit by morning, Ridgewood Condominiums was no longer just a quiet suburban complex. It had become a battleground. Residents walked slower, lingered in hallways, whispered urgently. Several people had now recognized the viral parking lot Karen, and the community's once muted discontent toward her erupted into full awareness. Karen could feel it everywhere. The stares, the quieted conversations, the way people stepped aside as she approached, and the humiliation enraged her. She stormed straight to the HOA office, an outdated room tucked behind the communal lounge, and slammed a thick stack of printed comments onto the desk. She demanded action. She insisted the board intervene. She claimed harassment, defamation, intimidation, a conspiracy orchestrated by jealous neighbors. She blamed everyone except herself. But the HOA president, usually eager to appease her, was now pale and uneasy. The board had received dozens of emails from residents linking the viral post to their complex. Some demanded fines. Some demanded accountability. Others demanded the board explain how they had allowed this behavior for so long. The HOA was cornered, and they were not willing to fall with her, so instead of defending her, they gave her the one response she never expected. They would investigate her. Formally, immediately. She left the office trembling with rage. Meanwhile, in Unit 3B, he watched everything unfold through his window with a silent, steady calm. He no longer had to post anything new. The internet was doing the heavy lifting now. More channels were reacting. More influencers were analyzing. The story had broken containment and now had a life of its own. But Karen wasn't done. That afternoon, she marched toward his door with the determined stride of someone ready to reclaim her throne. Her heels clicked fiercely on the hallway floor. Residents peeked from behind cracked doors to witness the confrontation they all knew was coming. She launched into a tirade the moment she reached his door, her words loud, sharp, and shaking with indignation. There were no witnesses close enough to hear the specifics, but they could hear the fury, the frustration, the unraveling. Meanwhile, inside the unit, he remained steady. He didn't shout back. He didn't open the door. He didn't need to. His camera recorded everything from the peephole's angle. And when Karen finally stormed back toward the parking lot, screaming something about lawyers, lawsuits, and justice, he calmly compiled the footage. Not edited, not embellished, simply posted. Within hours, the internet had transformed her meltdown into the climax of the saga. And that's when it happened. The HOA, desperate to control the spiraling chaos, issued a community-wide notice. Official, stamped, delivered to every door. Karen from Unit 1A was fined for repeated parking violations. She was placed on probation for HOA misconduct. The silver SUV was to be towed if it appeared in space 27 again. A mandatory meeting was scheduled where she would defend her actions before the entire board. Residents gathered outside in clusters, reading the notice. Many tried not to smile but failed. Some even took pictures. The downfall of Ridgewood's notorious Karen was now public, documented, and irreversible. That evening, Karen's SUV vanished from space 27, then it vanished from the visitor lot. Then it vanished from Ridgewood entirely. The next morning, her unit's blinds were closed. Boxes appeared by her door. For the first time in years, the condo felt lighter, like a weight had lifted. Within a week, Unit 1 went dark. Within 2, it was empty. Within 3, her SUV was spotted nowhere near the neighborhood. Karen had moved out. But the internet didn't forget. The saga lived on, clipped, shared, memed, and archived across countless channels. And though she tried to outrun the story, every new place she went carried whispers of a video she could never fully escape. As for the man from Unit 3B, he returned to peaceful, uninterrupted mornings. Space 27 sat waiting for him every day, untouched and respected. No more SUVs, no more confrontation, no more entitlement poisoning the community. He walked past the empty Unit 101 evening, feeling nothing but quiet satisfaction. His revenge hadn't been loud or violent. It hadn't needed to be. He had simply revealed the truth, and the world had handled the rest. The saga of parking lot Karen ended not with a confrontation, but with a quiet, perfect victory. The kind only the internet can deliver.